My beloved child, there are moments you assume to be merely part of the ordinary flow of time. Yet in truth, they are intersections between what is finite and what is eternal. I want you to understand that what you call tomorrow is not simply a continuation of days, but a doorway that has long been prepared within my design. It is not for you to enter with fear or hesitation, but to awaken and realize that I am inviting you into a deeper dimension of life. As it is written, "This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Every moment I appoint carries a sacred meaning far beyond your present understanding. And my child, while you carry within you quiet burdens and unspoken concerns that weigh heavily upon your heart day after day, I have not turned away from you. What you perceive as burdens are, in truth, the very places where I hear you most clearly. When you sigh in silence, when words fail you, I still understand. Before they call, I will answer while they are still speaking. I will hear Isaiah 65:24. The night you are about to enter is not a place where your anxieties continue to press upon you, but a place where I transform them. I do not merely change circumstances. I reach into the very root within you where my light can penetrate even the deepest hidden shadows. You may think that certain dreams have faded, that prayers have been forgotten, that what once burned within you now lingers only as a distant memory. But you must know this: I do not forget anything you have placed into my hands by faith, no matter how small. As it is written, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. Hebrews 6:10. What appears silent has not died. It is being nurtured in a process your eyes cannot yet perceive. And when the appointed time comes, it will rise again, not as it once was, but with new life, deeper, fuller, and more mature. Remember the story of Joseph, who was cast into a pit and sold as though he were nothing. In those years, every dream seemed buried. Yet within that darkness, I was preparing him for a place he could never have reached on his own. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Genesis 50:20. So it is with you. Those seasons that seem like loss or delay are not abandonment, but preparation. I am weaving goodness out of the very things you do not understand. Therefore, as you step into the moment that is coming, do not carry doubt with you. Do not think that you must face everything on your own. I do not place you anywhere that I am not present. On the contrary, I am the one who makes a way in the deepest darkness within you. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of the shadow of death, a light has dawned. Isaiah 9:2. That light does not come from outside, but is ignited within you when you allow me to move. There are days when you feel as though you are waiting without purpose, as if your efforts lead nowhere clear. But my child, waiting in me is never in vain. It is a season in which your heart is being widened and softened, made ready to receive what I desire to give. If I were to grant you what you ask before you are prepared, it could become a burden rather than a blessing. But when I prepare you first, what you receive becomes a source of life. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. You are not called to merely pass through your days as a pattern of repetition. You are called to step into appointed moments, places where your faith meets my voice. And when those two converge, something new is born. It is not merely an outward change, but a renewal from the deepest place within your soul. I do not seek only to improve your life. I desire to recreate you. Therefore, my beloved, open your heart. Do not close yourself off because of past disappointments. Do not confine yourself within the boundaries of what you have already experienced. I am the God of restoration, of new beginnings. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. What I am doing is not constrained by your past. Even when you cannot clearly see the path ahead, I am still guiding you step by step. You do not need to understand everything in order to keep moving forward. You only need to trust that I am there. And within that very trust, you will come to realize that everything, even the things you once thought were darkness, is being transformed into a doorway drawing you closer to me. Walk in peace. Let your heart rest in my presence. And when that moment arrives, you will no longer see it as an ordinary day, but as a sacred encounter, a point of contact where you recognize that I have always been there, waiting for you, calling you, and leading you into a life deeper than you have ever known. My beloved child, there are things I speak that do not fit within the framework of time as you understand it. For with me, every moment carries the depth of eternity. When I speak of a night that is coming, I am not speaking of earthly darkness, but of a moment of encounter where your soul is open to meet me more clearly. It is the time when all noise quiets down, so that you are no longer drawn by outward things, but turn inward into the place where I have been waiting for you for so long. Be still, and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. These words are not merely an invitation, but a doorway into the depths, where you realize that I have never left you, not even for a moment. You once thought that the quiet spaces in your life were signs of distance, as though I had stopped speaking, as though you were left to walk alone in an empty space. But my child, it is precisely in that stillness that I am working more than you can imagine. I do not always act in ways that allow you to see immediately, but that does not mean I am not acting, for my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. Isaiah 55:8. When you do not understand, when you cannot see, when you do not feel, that is not when I have left, but when I am weaving things far beyond your capacity to perceive. Remember the young Samuel, when he was still a boy, lying in the temple, hearing a voice, yet not recognizing that it was mine. 3 times he ran to his teacher, thinking it was a human voice, until he was taught to respond, "Speak, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. So it is with you. There have been times I have called to you in the quiet, yet you did not recognize my voice because you were expecting something louder, something more unmistakable. But I often come not in the wind or the earthquake, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. The night you are about to enter is the very place where you will learn to discern that voice. You do not need to make yourself perfect to step into what I have appointed. I am not waiting for you to become strong enough, capable enough, or worthy enough. I am simply seeking a heart that is willing to listen. When I came to Abraham under a sky filled with stars, I did not require him to understand the entire plan ahead, but only to believe. Look up at the sky and count the stars. So shall your offspring be. Genesis 15:5. That promise was not built upon human ability, but upon my faithfulness. And you, too, are standing before such promises, not for you to analyze, but for you to trust. You may feel that your life is too ordinary, too quiet, nothing remarkable enough to draw my intervention. But you are seeing through human eyes, not through my light. Nothing in your life is without meaning. No detail is too small. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. Matthew 10:29. If I attend to even the smallest of creatures, how much more do I attend to you, whom I have formed with intention and love? And my child, what I am preparing does not come because you are ready, but because the time has reached its fullness. When I called Esther into the palace, She did not choose that position for herself, nor did she determine the timing. Yet when the moment came, she recognized that she had been placed there for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. So it is with you. What you are about to encounter is not random, but part of a greater unfolding that I have ordained. Do not be afraid when you do not understand everything. Do not step back because you feel unqualified. What I require of you is not confidence in yourself, but trust placed in me. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. That promise was not only for a people in the past, it is for you, here and now. So when that moment comes, do not rush or become anxious. Do not strive to control or fully comprehend everything. Stand still within your heart. Remain open in your spirit, and allow me to lead. What I am doing is not merely changing your circumstances, but expanding who you are so that you may receive what is greater, deeper, and more real. You are not stepping into this alone. I am there before you arrive. I am there as you enter, and I will be there after you have passed through. For I am not only the one who calls you into a moment, I am the one who walks with you through every moment. And within that presence, you will come to realize that what you have been waiting for was never merely a time or an event, but me, my beloved child. There are seasons in your life that seem to stretch on endlessly, seasons where everything grows so quiet that you begin to think nothing is happening. Yet it is precisely in that stillness that I am carving the deepest things into your soul, not with haste, but with patience and unwavering love. You often look for grand signs and powerful movements to confirm that I am at work, but I choose to come gently, like the first light of dawn slipping through a narrow opening, like a soft breeze that only those who are truly attentive can perceive. As it is written, he will not shout or cry out, or raise his voice in the streets. Isaiah 42:2. My presence does not require noise to be real. There are moments when you no longer expect, no longer seek, because you have grown weary from prolonged waiting. Yet it is precisely in the moment when you release your own expectations that I step in most clearly. You may think I arrive late, but I have never been late. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. 2 Peter 3:8. My timing is not governed by your perception, but established upon eternal wisdom. You see delay, I see preparation reaching its completion. And my child, do not let the thought that you are not good enough, not worthy enough, cause you to draw back. I do not seek perfection, I seek hearts that are willing to open. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Hosea Shase. What I long for is not your performance, but your honesty when you come before me. You do not need to prove your value in order to step into what I have prepared. My love is the foundation, not your worthiness. Remember the tax collector who stood at a distance in the temple, not even daring to lift his eyes to heaven, but beating his chest and saying, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Luke Arton, Tretton. It was he who was justified not because he was perfect, but because he recognized his need. So it is with you. The door I open is not a reward for perfection, but an expression of my mercy toward you. What is coming is not something you must achieve. It is something you are invited to receive. Therefore, as you prepare to step into that moment, do not strive to do something great in order to become worthy. Instead, quiet your heart in stillness, in simple gratitude. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Psalm 37:7. It is within that stillness that you will realize I am nearer than ever before. Every breath you take, every moment you pause, can become a place where I touch you. And when you open your eyes to step into the new day, You will no longer see things as you once did, not because your circumstances have suddenly changed, but because you yourself have been renewed from within. The light you perceive will not be the light of this world, but the light of awareness that I am present in every small detail. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. When your eyes are opened, you will see that I have never left your every step. You may still carry within you quiet burdens, unspoken worries, thoughts, and nameless weights. You once believed these things kept you from drawing near to me. But my child, they are precisely the places I choose to enter. I do not wait for you to become unburdened before I come. I come to touch those very burdens. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5-7. Nothing you carry is too small or too heavy for my concern. What you call weakness, I call a doorway. What you see as darkness, I see as the place where light can be most clearly revealed. You do not need to hide or remove these things before coming to me. I desire to step into that very place, the place where you are most real, where you no longer pretend, where you are simply yourself. My beloved child, there are hidden corners within your heart that even you hesitate to face, places you call darkness. Yet they are the very places I long to enter first. I do not come to you only when you are strong or whole. I come when you are most honest, when you no longer try to conceal what weighs heavily within you. There is a weariness you have not yet named, not the exhaustion of the body, but the quiet erosion of the soul after walking a long road without seeing the results you hoped for. You have carried it silently, believing you must remain strong, must stand firm, must not appear weak. But my child, I do not require a life braced in strain. I desire a heart that dares to open. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. This is not a distant comfort, but a direct invitation to you, here and now. It is within that very weariness that I place my hand upon you, not to let you remain exhausted, but to awaken within you a new life that you could never produce on your own. There are times when you do not deny me, yet deep within you begin to wonder whether I still care for you. It is not that you have turned your back on faith, but you keep a certain distance, as though your heart no longer dares to draw near as it once did. You still pray, you still speak familiar words, yet within there is a hesitation, a quiet emptiness you do not know how to fill. I see this, and I do not condemn you. Faith is not a journey without doubt. It is a journey that continues toward me, even when you are uncertain. Like the father who cried out, I believe, help my unbelief. Mark 9:24. Such a prayer is not rejected by me, but answered with healing. So it is with you. I do not take my eyes off you in moments of doubt. Rather, it is there that I am quietly preparing you to realize that my presence has never diminished. No matter how your feelings may change, there is another voice that often whispers within you, a voice that tells you that you are not enough, not worthy, without a place. You look at others and compare yourself, and then you withdraw, believing you are merely a faint shadow in a world too vast. But my child, your worth is not measured by human perception, but by me, the one who formed you from the beginning. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. You are not a repetition of anyone else, nor a mistake in need of correction. You are a living intention of mine, the very breath I placed within human form. I did not call you to become someone else. I call you back to yourself, the true self I ordained, loved without condition, and placed within a purpose that cannot be replaced. The false definitions you carry, I desire to break, not through force, but through the light of truth that reveals who you truly are in me. And then, there is something you have hidden more deeply than anything else, a longing that once burned brightly but now remains only as a memory. You once believed, once prayed, once waited, but as time passed without visible change, you placed it in a quiet corner of your heart, as though it were no longer possible. You no longer speak of it, no longer bring it up, because you fear hoping again only to be disappointed. But, my beloved, I do not only hear the words you speak aloud, I also listen to what you have buried. What you think has died has never disappeared in my sight. It is only sleeping, waiting for the moment I awaken it, as when I stood before the tomb of Lazarus and called, "Lazarus, come out," John 11:43. Life responded to my voice beyond all human limitation. What I do is not constrained by time or circumstance, and if you allow me, I will touch what you have let go, not to restore it as it was, but to transform it into something greater, deeper, and aligned with the purpose I originally placed within it. Therefore, my beloved, do not be afraid of the dark places within your heart. Do not think you must cleanse them before I come. Those very places are the doors I choose to enter. Your weariness does not push me away, it draws me nearer. Your doubt does not cause me to turn aside, it causes me to remain even longer. Your sense of inadequacy does not lead me to reject you, it opens the way for me to reveal my unconditional love. And the dreams you have buried do not make me forget, they rest within my care, awaiting the day they are called forth. Open your heart not through great effort, but through honesty. Allow me to step into every place you have hidden, and when you dare to let me touch those places, you will realize that no part of you is too far to be restored. Nothing is too late to be renewed, for I am the one who brings all things to life, and I am here not to judge you, but to lead you into the fullness of life I have prepared for you from the very beginning. My beloved child, I know there are prayers you have offered in weariness, asking for something very simple, that your burdens would be lifted, that your complications would be resolved quickly so you could finally breathe again. But my child, what I am doing goes far beyond untangling what is immediately before you. I do not merely touch your circumstances, I touch who you are. When I enter into the places that have wounded you, I do not stop at making them disappear. I use them to reshape your soul, to transform the way you see, the way you live, and the way you understand yourself. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. Not because all things are good, but because I make them meaningful within my hands. There are things you have gone through that have led you to believe you are defined by failure, by fear, by lacks that seem impossible to fill. But when I touch those places, those definitions begin to crack. You are no longer a person confined by your past, but a soul marked by healing. I do not patch you as something broken, I recreate you from within, like a potter reshaping clay according to his will. O house of Israel, can I not do with you as this potter does? Jeremiah 18:6. This means you are not trapped in your old form. You are always within my capacity for renewal. Look at Job, who walked through losses so deep they are difficult for any human to endure. He lost what was most precious in his life, yet he did not lose a heart turned toward me. In what seemed like utter ruin, I did not only restore what had been lost, but transformed him at the very core. The Lord restored Job's fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Job 42:10. Yet greater than all of that was that he encountered me more deeply than before. So it is with you. What you are carrying is not the end, but the beginning of a loving intervention I have already set in motion. You often ask why difficulties seem to repeat. as though you are trapped in a cycle without escape. But my child, there is another question I invite you to face. Could that very place become the place where you meet me most truly? When you allow me to enter, what once felt like a burden can become an altar, a place where you lay down every worry, every pain, and receive my presence in return. Offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God, Romans 12:1, not perfection, but the offering of your true self. There are things you have carried for so long that you have begun to think they are your destiny, as though you must live with them forever. But your destiny is not found in what you carry, it is held in my hands, as I touch every part of it to transform it. When I move, the shadows no longer cover you, they become openings through which light enters. What you once felt ashamed of, I can use to reveal my glory. What you once hid, I can turn into a testimony of grace. And the time will come when you realize that the very things that once caused you to bow your head are the places where I lift you up. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy, Psalm 126:5. Not because tears themselves produce joy, but because I transform them into a harvest. When my light touches those hidden places, you will no longer see them with shame or fear, but with gratitude, because it was there that I met you and made you new. And my beloved child, do not think that what you have laid down, the dreams you have set aside believing it was too late, have been lost in the passing of time. Nothing you have ever placed into my hands is forgotten. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. Revelation 21:4. This is not only a comfort for the future, but a promise that I remember every tear you have shed. There are things I am quietly holding in warmth, not because I am delayed, but because I am preparing the right moment for them to be fully revealed. Therefore, my beloved, let your heart open once more. Do not hold on to what is past as a definition of who you are. Allow me to enter not only to resolve, but to recreate. And when you begin to see light filtering into the darkest places, you will realize that your journey has not been a series of failures to forget, but a process I have used to lead you into a deeper life. Prepare your heart in peace, not through anxiety or haste, but through trust, for the season of what you thought was asleep is drawing near. And when it is revealed, you will understand that I have never forgotten anything that belongs to you. I have only been waiting for the right moment to make it more beautiful than you ever imagined. My beloved child, perhaps you no longer remember the last time you whispered to me about that very thing. Perhaps those prayers have dissolved into distant days, blurred by many concerns and quiet disappointments. But my child, what I see is not how much time has passed, but my own faithfulness that has never changed throughout your journey. What you think has been forgotten has in truth been carefully kept by me. Like a gardener tending seeds in a season of dry soil, you do not see the sprouting, but that does not mean life is absent. I am nurturing the roots, the deepest, most hidden part, where the true strength of all that will grow is determined. There are dreams I do not allow to bloom too soon, not because I am indifferent, but because I love you too much to give them to you before you are ready to carry them. If a young shoot is pulled up before its roots are firmly established, it will not withstand the harsh sun and strong winds. In the same way, if what you long for is given while your heart is not yet mature, it may become a burden rather than a blessing. The Lord is your keeper, Psalm 121:5. And in that keeping, I do not only protect you from harm, but also preserve what is good for the right time. I do not rush as you do, for I see the whole journey that you cannot yet see. Remember Sarah, who once laughed when she heard the promise of a child while her body had grown old. That laughter was not joy, but disbelief, for she thought it impossible. But I am not limited by what you call impossible. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14. And in the very place where life seemed no longer possible, I brought forth new life. The cry of a child arose where there had only been long silence. So it is with you, there are things you have named over, dead, or without hope. But to me, they are only waiting to be called forth at the appointed time. Perhaps you once prayed for very simple things, a place to belong, someone who would understand you, a door that would open so you could step into the purpose meant for your life. You spoke to me with all your heart, and then gradually fell silent when you did not see the answers you expected, and you began to think that I was not listening. But my beloved, no prayer ever disappears into emptiness. His ears are attentive to their cry, Psalm 34:15. Every word you offer is like a seed placed into my hands, and I have tended them with a patience you have not yet fully understood. What you call delay, I call preparation. The season of waiting you are walking through is not an empty void. It is the season in which your roots are being deepened, where your faith is no longer built upon what you see, but upon who I am. When outwardly, nothing seems to change, inwardly, you are being transformed. I have used every day you chose to keep going despite the heaviness in your heart, every tear you shed in silence, every moment you refuse to give up to build within you a stronger foundation. The righteous will live by faith, Romans 1:17. And it is within this waiting that such faith is being formed. You may not realize that you are growing, because true growth does not always come with the feeling of strength. Often it unfolds quietly. In the days when you simply continue living, continue believing, even when nothing ahead is clear. But I see every step you take, every time you do not turn away, every moment you hold on to, even the smallest thread of hope, and I do not overlook it. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work, Hebrews 6:10. Your faithfulness, no matter how small it seems, is always remembered by me, and the time will come when the season changes, not because you force it, but because it has already been appointed. When that moment arrives, what I give will not only be what you once asked for, but something renewed, refined, and placed at the exact time when you are able to receive it fully. You will come to understand that, had it come earlier, you would not have been able to hold it. But now, you are different. You are deeper, steadier, more expansive within, my beloved child. There are things you once whispered to me long ago, so long ago, that even you no longer remember the last moment you brought them before me. Time may have covered those memories in dust for you, but with me, nothing fades. I do not measure by the passing of years, but by my unchanging faithfulness throughout your waiting. What you think has been forgotten is in truth being carefully preserved by me, like a sower tending seeds in dry ground. You do not see life emerging, but that does not mean it is absent. The seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how, Mark 4:27. For true life always begins in hidden places, beyond what your eyes can see. There are dreams I do not allow to bloom too soon, not because I am indifferent to your longing, but because I love you too much to give them before you are ready to carry them. A young plant, if uprooted before its roots are deep, cannot withstand the sun and wind. In the same way, if what you ask for is placed into your hands before your heart has matured, it may become a burden that exhausts you. I guard what is true, and I wait for the appointed time when you can receive it with gratitude, no longer rushed or doubtful. The Lord will withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly, Psalm 84:11. And that goodness always arrives in the fullness of the time I have set. Remember Sarah, who once laughed when she heard the promise I spoke. That laughter was not joy, but doubt in the face of what seemed beyond human possibility. Yet I am not limited by what you call reality. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14. And in the very place where hope seemed gone, I brought forth life. The cry of a child arose where silence had long prevailed, not by human strength, but by my power. What you believe to be dead is, in my sight, only waiting to be called forth at the appointed time. You once brought before me very simple dreams, a place where you belong, a person who truly understands you, a door opening for you to step into your rightful purpose. But when you did not see an answer, you gradually fell silent. And in that silence, you assumed that I, too, had become silent. You thought your prayers had faded away. But my child, not a single word you have lifted to me is ever lost. The Lord is near to all who call on him in truth. Psalm 145:18. Every prayer is a seed, and I have received it, nurtured it, and tended to each one with a patience you have not yet been able to see. What you call delay is not rejection. It is the journey toward the appointed moment where every element comes together, where your heart is prepared, where circumstances are aligned, and where what I give will become a complete blessing. I do not rush, because I am not only concerned with what you receive, but with who you become when you receive it. There is a time for everything, Ecclesiastes 3:1, and my timing is never misplaced. The season of waiting you are passing through is not an empty void. It is the season where your roots are going deeper into the soil, where your faith is being formed not based on what you see, but on who I am. When there is no outward sign, inwardly you are being expanded. I have used every day you chose to keep walking despite the heaviness in your heart, every tear you shed in quietness, every time you refused to give up, even without an answer, to build within you a stronger foundation. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126:5. For I transform every tear into a harvest of life. You do not realize that you are growing, because true growth often unfolds in silence. But I see every step you take, every moment you hold on to hope, even when it is fragile, and I do not forget. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work. Hebrews 6:10. Your faithfulness, though it may seem small, is always remembered and cherished by me. Therefore, my beloved, rest in my faithfulness. Do not let time cause you to doubt. Do not let silence make you think that I have forgotten. No prayer of yours is lost. No dream you have placed into my hands is abandoned. All are being preserved, nurtured, and prepared for a moment when you will not only receive, but also understand why you had to wait so long. And when that day comes, you will know that throughout the entire journey, I have never taken my eyes off you, not even for a single moment. My beloved child, do not be afraid to return to the doors you once closed out of weariness or disappointment. I do not lead you back there to awaken old pain, but to breathe new life into spaces long forgotten. The rooms you believe have gathered dust over the years are, in my eyes, still holding seeds of goodness that have yet to emerge. When you allow me to enter, I do not destroy who you once were, but renew you from within, so that what once lay dormant may awaken with a new meaning. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. You have not been left behind in the past. You are being prepared for something that will be given at the right time, not early, not late, but precisely within my design. And there will come a moment when you look back at what you thought had ended, and you will realize it never truly disappeared. It was being held in my hands, waiting to be revealed. In that moment, you will understand a deeper truth. Your worth is not found in what you achieve, nor is it dependent on what has or has not happened. It does not increase when you succeed, nor diminish when you stumble. Your worth is anchored in my unchanging gaze upon you. The Lord looks at the heart, 1 Samuel 16, and within that gaze, I see you not through your accomplishments or failures, but through the essence I created. What I am about to touch is not only your circumstances, but the very way you see yourself. My child, I am leading you into a deeper journey, not outward, but inward, where you will come face to face with the true worth of your soul. Not what you do, not who acknowledges you, not what you possess, for all these things can shift with time. But God saw all that He had made, and it was very good. Genesis 1:31. That word was not only spoken over creation at the beginning, it was also spoken over you, who were formed within my good intention. Your value does not begin with what you achieve, but with the fact that you belong to me. I know there are days when you feel as though you have no value left. Repeated mistakes, quiet failures, the words and judgments of others all blend into a persistent whisper telling you that you are not enough, that you are not worthy. But my beloved, that is only the echo of the world and the fear within your own heart. It is not the truth. The true voice is mine, and I have never called you by your failures. I have called you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. I call you by the identity I placed in you from the beginning, one who is loved, one who is chosen, one whom I keep. Remember the story of the prodigal son. When he returned, burdened with shame and believing he was no longer worthy to be called a son, hoping only to be treated as a servant, the father ran to him, embraced him, and did not question his past or demand proof. This son of mine was dead and is alive again. Luke 15:24. Do you see? His identity was not erased by his mistakes, and the Father's love was not diminished by the distance. So it is with you no matter what you have walked through. I still see you with the same gaze as before, a gaze of unchanging love. Therefore, do not allow other voices to define you. Do not let what you have not achieved become the measure of your worth. I do not see you through the lens of lack, but through the complete design I have placed within you. My grace is sufficient for you. 2 Corinthians 12:9. For it is in your weakness that my strength is most clearly revealed. This means you do not need to be perfect to have value. You had value before you accomplished anything. My beloved, open your heart so that I may touch the way you see yourself. Let me remove the false labels you have unknowingly carried. Let my light shine into the places where you have denied yourself. And as you begin to see yourself through my eyes, you will realize that you are not a sum of failures, but a work being shaped day by day in love. Walk forward in peace, not because you have achieved everything, but because you know you belong to me. And when you stand firm in that truth, nothing can take away your worth. No circumstance can misdefine you again, for the truest voice still speaks over you, not the voice of the world, but mine, gentle yet unwavering. You are loved, from the beginning and forever. My beloved child, how many layers of definition have you carried upon yourself without even realizing it? You look at your scores, your position, the praise and criticism of others, the expectations surrounding you, and quietly form conclusions about your worth from all these things. I know how hard you have tried to be recognized, to be accepted, to feel that you are enough, and when you fall short, you turn against yourself, believing you are useless, inadequate. But my child, the truth does not lie there. You do not need to strive to be loved because love reached you before you ever began striving. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. No gaze understands you more deeply than mine, and no standard can define you more truthfully than what I have spoken over you from the beginning. Pause. My child, not to give up, but to stop chasing the shadows of approval. The more you run, the farther you drift from yourself, and the more you lose the peace you are seeking. But when you stop, you will realize that I am still there, not having left, not having turned away, but standing right where you abandoned yourself. With a gaze full of mercy and without judgment, be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 37:7. When you lift your eyes to me, you will see reflected a person you have forgotten, not a version distorted by comparison, but a precious soul, created to live, not to be measured. Do you remember Peter? He once boldly declared his loyalty, yet denied me 3 times in his weakest moment. He thought he had lost everything, that he was no longer worthy to stand beside me. But when I met him again after the resurrection, I did not bring up his failure. I did not question his past. I simply asked, "Do you love me?" John 21:17. For what I seek is not a perfect past, but a heart willing to return. So it is with you. I do not see you through your stumbles, but through your capacity to be restored in my love. I ask you today, not to condemn, but to restore. Do you dare to believe that your worth has never been lost, even after you have fallen? My beloved child, the more you withdraw from my gaze, the more you will feel like an unfinished draft, as though your life is nothing but fragments. But when you turn back, even with the faintest whisper, "Lord, here I am," I immediately call you by a name no one can take from you. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. You are loved. You have purpose. You are chosen. You do not need to prove it or fight to earn it. You only need to receive it. And from that receiving, a new strength will rise within you, a strength no longer dependent on the opinions of others. What I am forming in you is not pride rooted in achievement, but a deep humility rooted in knowing you are unconditionally loved. Such a person does not need to compete, or assert themselves over others. They walk in freedom because they know they have already been affirmed by the one who never changes. Let the one who boasts boast in the Lord. 2 Corinthians 10:17. When you stand in that truth, you will no longer be shaken by the shifting standards of the world. And then you will begin to look at your failures differently. They will no longer be an ending, no longer proof of inadequacy, but points of encounter where you come to understand how deep my mercy truly is. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. In the very places you thought were weakest, I have laid the foundation for true strength. Perhaps right now you stand at a turning point where everything you once planned no longer holds. The paths you trusted have become unclear, and you find yourself in a place of waiting that you cannot control. You may call it delay, but I call it an invitation into obedience, not as one forced into helplessness, but as a child choosing to trust the wisdom of the Father. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. Psalm 37:7. That stillness is not inactivity, but an inner posture that knows I am at work, even when you cannot yet see. You may think obedience means doing nothing, but my child, obedience is a way of living. It is acting under guidance, walking in the rhythm of heaven rather than the hurried pace of the world. It is not surrendering out of defeat, but entering into deep partnership with me. When you obey, you do not lose your agency. You simply entrust your direction to me, the one who sees the path you cannot yet see. And when you truly step into that obedience, you will feel something different. Your heart becomes lighter. The burdens you once carried no longer press upon you as before, because you are no longer trying to control everything. You no longer live as one abandoned to manage life alone, but as a child who knows the Father's hand is always there. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5-7. When you release, you do not lose, you are set free. Remember Abraham. When I asked him to offer Isaac the most precious thing he had, he did not fully understand, nor could he foresee the outcome. Yet he still walked forward. And in that obedience, I revealed that I never intended to take away, but to establish within him a faith that could not be shaken. The Lord will provide. Genesis 22:14. So it is with you. What I ask you to release is not to cause you loss, but to teach you to trust that I am your provider. I do not seek flawless perfection from you. I seek a willing heart, a response, even if trembling and uncertain, is more precious than carefully calculated actions that lack trust. When you say, Lord, I do not yet see clearly, but I choose to follow you, you are stepping into the very essence of faith. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5-7. And it is within that dimness of what is not yet clear that true light begins to emerge. My beloved child, place your hand upon your heart and speak to me with sincerity. You choose to trust that I know the way better than you do, not because you are weak, but because you recognize that I am the source of wisdom that never fails. When you live in that obedience, every step you take, no matter how small or slow, becomes a song of trust. And along that path, you will come to realize that not a single tear you have shed is wasted. Not a single failure is meaningless. Not a single step backward is beyond my reach. Everything you have gone through, are going through, and will go through is being woven into a greater story, the story of restoration and renewal. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. This means that even what you do not understand is being transformed into something beautiful in my time. Draw near to me, my child. Do not stand at a distance with unanswered questions. Remain in my presence, where you do not need to understand everything in order to rest. For what I am about to teach you is not only how to walk, but how to see everything through my light, where even what seems darkest can become radiant when placed in my hands. My beloved child, as you begin to look back on your journey with gentler eyes, as you no longer rush to conclude that brokenness is meaningless, I want you to pause and listen to the deepest work I am doing within you. The most precious gift I give you is not a loud outward change, but a quiet miracle unfolding within your heart transformation. I do not come to merely adjust a few details or repair what seems broken. I come to awaken your true identity, the person I formed from the beginning. Before wounds, fears, and the judgments of the world covered you, I know there are still things you long for, a door to open, a relationship to be restored, a pain to be healed, a circumstance to become lighter. I hear it all. I understand it all. And I cherish every word you bring to me. But my child, if I were to change your circumstances without touching your heart, you would carry the same emptiness into a new place. That is why what I am doing does not stop at restoring what surrounds you. I am recreating you from within. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. This healing is not a surface covering, but a renewal from the core. The transformation I bring does not arrive with loud noise or immediate signs that astonish you. It unfolds in the smallest moments, in the times you choose to yield rather than resist. In the quiet yes you offer. In the moments you continue to believe even when nothing is clear. It is like the mustard seed I spoke of, so small it can be overlooked, yet carrying within it the power to move mountains. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. Every time you whisper, I still believe, even with a trembling voice, is a moment I touch your heart, shaping it closer to my likeness. Remember Abraham. When I called him to offer Isaac the most precious thing he had, he did not fully understand, nor could he foresee the outcome. Yet he still walked forward. And in that obedience, I revealed that I never intended to take away, but to establish within him a faith that could not be shaken. The Lord will provide, Genesis 22:14. So it is with you. What I ask you to release is not to cause you loss, but to teach you to trust that I am the one who provides. I do not seek flawless perfection in you. I seek a willing heart, a response, even if trembling and incomplete in understanding, is more precious than carefully calculated actions that lack trust. When you say, Lord, I do not yet see clearly, but I choose to follow you, you are stepping into the very essence of faith. For we walk by faith, not by sight, 2 Corinthians 5-7, and it is within the dimness of what is not yet clear that true light begins to be born. My beloved child, place your hand upon your heart and speak to me with sincerity. You choose to trust that I know the way better than you do, not because you are weak, but because you recognize that I am the source of wisdom that never fails. When you live in that obedience, every step you take, no matter how small, no matter how slow, becomes a song of trust. And along that path, you will come to realize that not a single tear you have shed is wasted. Not a single failure is meaningless. Not a single step backward is beyond my reach. Everything you have gone through, are going through, and will go through, is being woven into a greater story, the story of restoration and renewal. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. Romans 8:28. This means that even what you do not understand, I am transforming into something beautiful in my appointed time. Draw near to me, my child. Do not stand at a distance with unanswered questions. Remain in my presence, where you do not need to understand everything in order to rest. For what I am about to teach you is not only how to walk, but how to see everything through. My light, where even what seems darkest can become radiant when placed in my hands. My beloved child, as you begin to look back on your journey with gentler eyes, no longer rushing to conclude that brokenness is meaningless, I want you to pause and listen to the deepest work I am doing within you. The most precious thing I give you is not a loud outward change, but a quiet miracle unfolding within your heart transformation. I do not come to adjust a few details or patch what seems broken. I come to awaken your true self, the person I formed from the beginning. Before wounds, fears, and the judgments of the world covered you, I know there are still things you long for, a door to open, a relationship to be restored, a pain to be healed, a circumstance to become lighter. I hear it all. I understand it all. And I treasure every word you bring to me. But my child, if I were to change your circumstances without touching your heart, you would carry the same emptiness into a new place. That is why what I am doing does not stop at restoring what surrounds you. I am recreating you from within. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. This healing is not a surface covering, but a renewal from the core. The transformation I bring does not come with loud noise or immediate signs that astonish you. It unfolds in the smallest things, in the moments you choose to yield rather than resist. In the quiet yes you offer. In the times you continue to believe, even when nothing is clear. It is like the mustard seed I spoke of, so small it can be overlooked, yet carrying within it the power to move mountains. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, nothing will be impossible for you. Matthew 17:20. Every time you whisper, I still believe, even with a trembling voice, is a moment I touch your heart, shaping it closer to my likeness. Therefore, when you look back on your life, do not rush to count outward changes. Count instead the moments you have grown steadier in faith, more generous in love, more patient in waiting. These are the marks of the miracles I have worked within you. A miracle is not always something that astonishes others. Often, it is the quiet renewal within you that even you do not immediately recognize. And when you draw near to me, you will begin to understand that this transformation is not an ending, it is a beginning. For once, you are transformed. You do not merely live in blessing, you become one who carries blessing into the world. The night I have spoken of is not the closing of what is old, but a doorway into a new life, a life where you and I walk together, writing each chapter side by side, not in perfection, but in companionship. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. Matthew 28:20. You are no longer one who wanders, you are one who is being led. I know there have been paths you have walked with weary feet, nights where you sank into silence and could not hear my voice. There have been moments when you wondered if you had gone the wrong way, whether the wounds you carry have any meaning at all. But my child, not a single step of yours is meaningless before me, for the Lord guards the course of the just. Proverbs 2:8. Every step you take, I see. Every time you stand firm, even while trembling, I take notice. When you were exhausted in the deepest valley, I was there not to pull you out immediately, but to sustain you through each small step. When you struggled for breath on the steep slopes of doubt, I was the breath that kept you standing. The winding roads you once thought were without direction had already been traced by me, not to lead you astray, but to deepen you, to strengthen you. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. The path that leads to true glory is never without darkness. Yet it is within that darkness that my light becomes most visible. I do not create the dark valleys, but I do not allow you to walk through them alone. I step into them with you, so that my light does not only shine before you, but begins to shine from within you. And as that light grows, you will realize that you are no longer merely one searching for the way you are becoming light for others. My beloved child, listen deeply. The path I have set before you is not a test to see whether you are strong enough. I have drawn it because I know there is a treasure within you yet to be awakened, a beauty that can only be revealed as you pass through seasons where the light is no longer gentle. There are callings that do not sound in times of ease, but become clear in the midst of storms. There are gifts that cannot be received when everything is abundant, but are given when you have nothing left but faith. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. I know this is not easy, but I also know that you are able to continue. I see what no one else sees. I see your faithfulness in the days you keep going despite uncertainty. I see how you continue to love even while you are hurting. I see the quiet sacrifices, the times you rise again with no one watching. And my child, it is in that very hidden place of your life that heaven opens to bless you. Not in the crowd, not on the brightly lit stage, but in the quiet room where you kneel and say, Lord, I still believe. Your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Matthew 6:6. Not a single tear you have shed is in vain. The summit you are moving toward is not for those who have never tasted pain. It is for those who have learned to walk step by step in faith, not grounded in visible proof, but in trust. And I have prepared that place for you, not only so you may see the full landscape, but so you may recognize how you yourself have been transformed. When you stand there, you will not only see the path you have walked, but the person you have become, a person I have shaped through every trial, every stumble, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. My child, never think that I have been absent simply because you did not feel me. My presence does not depend on your emotions, even when you do not perceive me. I am still there, never stepping away. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. The strength you carry is not something you produced. It is the life I have placed within you. When you are weak, I am your strength. When you are lost, I am your way. When you question your worth, I still call you by the name that never changes, the one I love. Do not be afraid when you feel empty. Emptiness is not a sign of loss, but a space being prepared for me to fill. The quiet places are not abandonment. They are softened ground where the seed of grace can take root. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. The days you think nothing is happening are, in truth, the days I am working most deeply within you. And when you look back, you will see that no part of the journey was without purpose. Every steep climb, every winding turn, every moment you thought you would collapse, all have led you to an appointed meeting place I set long before. It is not a distant place, but the place where you become most fully yourself in me. But my child, this journey is not yours alone. The light you have received is not meant to be kept, but to be shared. I desire for you to carry the life you have experienced and bring it to those who are weary, those who are lost, those who are weeping in silence. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. Not because you are perfect, but because I shine through you. You do not need to speak as one who understands everything. You only need to tell, with sincerity, what I have done in your life. Speak of the dry seasons you have walked through, of how I sustained you, of the dark nights where I touched your heart. That truth that you were once broken and are now being healed will become the most powerful invitation. They overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, Revelation 12:11. So, my beloved, walk with a gentle courage, not because you no longer feel fear, but because you know I am with you. Open your heart and let your story become a source of hope for others. For when you live in the light I have placed within you, you do not only find your own way, you become a light guiding other souls. And I, your Father, will always be there, walking with you, step by step, until your story becomes a symphony of grace that never ends. My beloved child, imagine this vividly. Someone trembling with fear looks into your eyes and finds a peace they cannot explain. Someone who has lost hope hears your voice and senses a steadiness stronger than their circumstances. A weary soul crosses your path and encounters a quiet joy, gentle, unforced, yet undeniable. They may not understand what is happening at first, but they will feel it. For what I have placed within you is not meant to be contained, but to overflow. Let your light shine before others, Matthew 5:16, not through loud words, but through a life that has been transformed. You do not need to go everywhere declaring that you belong to me. When you live in the light, your life itself becomes a letter written not with ink, but through your actions, your choices, and your responses in everyday moments. You are a letter from Christ, written not with ink but with the Spirit, 2 Corinthians 3:3. And what makes that letter come alive is your real story, a life that has known brokenness, longing, and wandering, yet is now being renewed by me. There is something wondrous in this. My child, the very places where you were once weak become the places where my strength is revealed. When others see you walk through hardship without being crushed, but instead becoming steadier, they will begin to wonder, not because you are trying to impress them, but because they recognize that something within you does not come from you, My power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. And that difference becomes the first door that quietly opens within their hearts. The questions may never be spoken aloud, but they will begin to form. What has kept you standing? What strength has lifted you up? How can you remain at peace in the midst of storms? You see, this is not the result of you trying to convince anyone. It is the result of you living truthfully in what I have done within you. When you live in truth, that truth speaks for itself. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. And when you are free, that freedom becomes an invitation to others. I do not call you to become someone who argues with complex reasoning. I call you to become someone who lives fully, authentically, in the light. When you do this, you do not need to strive to share hope. Hope will naturally flow from you. Like the Samaritan woman, after she encountered me, she did not carry a perfect message, but simply said, "Come in. See a man who told me everything I ever did." John 4:29. And it was that honesty that drew an entire town closer. My beloved child, what I am doing within you is not meant to be contained. It is a current. When you try to hold it back, you will feel burdened. But when you allow it to flow through your life, you will feel light. For you are no longer living only for yourself. You are becoming a channel of life. Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them. John 7:38. That water is not loud, but it is enough to refresh weary souls. So do not be anxious about what you must say or do to change others. Leave that to me. You simply live in the truth you have received, and walk in the light I have placed within you. And as you do, your life will become a living invitation, not forced, not displayed for attention, but quietly compelling. You may not see the results immediately, but what you carry will touch others in ways you cannot anticipate. A peaceful gaze from you may become the answer to someone's anxiety. A gentle word you speak may become a resting place for a soul that is breaking. A life that stands steady within you may become a sign to others that hope is real. And one by one, they will begin to draw near, not because you are perfect, but because they recognize something real within you. And that reality is me. You do not need to become someone else in order to bear witness. You only need to become who you truly are, the person I have been transforming. Walk in that way, my beloved, without display, without anxiety, simply by living. And within that life, you will begin to see that I am using your very story, a life that once wandered but is now being led to open doors of hope for many others. Beloved child, do not let your heart be swept away by the haste of this world. What I am doing within you does not require loud display to prove its reality. True transformation always begins quietly, like a gentle breeze passing by something you only recognize when you pause long enough. The wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. John 3:8. You may not see each movement clearly, yet that does not mean I am not at work. In every glance you offer, every thought you choose to hold back, every response you decide upon, I am shaping you, little by little. And there will come a moment, not arranged by you, but appointed by me, when what has been hidden will begin to be revealed. Someone will draw near to you. Someone will ask you. A soul will open, and you will realize that the light within you is no longer something private. It has become an invitation for others. You do not need to strive to prove anything. You only need to live truthfully. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. That very light will find its way through you. Child, your life is not a nameless copy among countless patterns. You are a singular window through which the light of heaven may shine in a way no one else can replace. You may think you are not bright enough, not strong enough, not clear enough, but I do not need you to shine according to human standards. I need you to be transparent, a heart that does not conceal, does not pretend, does not distort truth, simply reflecting me. And that, beloved, is already happening within you. Each day you walk in grace. Each time you choose forgiveness instead of holding on to hurt. Each moment you choose love instead of judgment, you are opening a path, not through grand declarations, but through your very life. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. You are leading, not by power, but by kindness, not through loud victories, but through the quiet steadfastness I have placed within you. And now, right where you stand, a choice is opening before you. One path is familiar, easy to walk, asking little of you, requiring only that you blend into the current and live just enough to get by. But the other path, narrower and less chosen, leads to a freedom you have not yet fully experienced. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, but small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life. Matthew 7:13-14. That path is not easy, but it is true. I do not force you, but I invite you. Choose the light not only for yourself, but for those who are still feeling their way through darkness, not yet knowing the way out. You do not see the full extent of your influence, yet every step you take in courage today may become the answer to someone else's prayer. Somewhere, someone is waiting to witness what you are living. Beloved, have you begun to see that the things you once pursued so tirelessly, recognition, fleeting security, temporary assurances, have ultimately left within you a quiet exhaustion? I do not condemn you for that. I know how real their pull can be. Yet that very weariness is awakening within you a different longing, a rhythm of life, no longer driven by pressure, but sustained by trust. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That rest is not an escape, but an entrance into a new rhythm, the rhythm of me. Learn this rhythm, my child. It is not loud, not hurried, not driven by voices that stir restlessness within you. It begins in the inward listening where I speak to you with a gentleness you can only recognize when you are willing to pause. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This is how you walk, not out of fear, but out of hope, not because you are pressured, but because you are led. This rhythm is unlike that of the world. It carries the imprint of the one who called you before you even knew who you were. At first, this rhythm may feel unfamiliar. It invites you to release the demands of the self, the desire to see results immediately, to grasp things quickly. But child, faith does not grow in haste. It is nurtured in stillness, in days that seem as though nothing is happening. The righteous shall live by faith. Romans 1:17. Not by speed, but by depth. I am not in a hurry, for I know that what is deeply rooted will stand firm when strong winds come. And this is what I am doing within you, not only so that you may believe, but so that you may live from that faith. When you choose to follow me, you do not lose yourself. On the contrary, you are gradually rediscovering the true self you once set aside amid expectations and anxieties. The layers you have worn to be accepted, to be recognized, are being gently removed by me. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. In my presence, you do not need to strain to be worthy. You only need to come, to be present, and to be honest. The rest, I will take care of. Let me lead you, step by step. Do not be troubled that you cannot yet see the whole path. I do not require you to understand everything. I simply invite you to trust. The Lord will guide you continually and satisfy your soul. Isaiah 58:11. I am reshaping your priorities so that you are no longer carried away by what is temporary, but anchored in what endures. And every step you dare to take toward me, no matter how small, is a step I have already prepared to receive you. Beloved, my invitation is not a command imposed upon you. It is a door that remains open. You may return at any time, and each time you come back, you will find me there unchanged. Undistant. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. Nothing you have done can cause me to stop loving you. No path you have wandered can cause me to stop waiting. Therefore, beloved, slow your pace. Breathe deeply. Release what is no longer needed, and learn my rhythm, the rhythm of peace, of trust, of a life that no longer needs to prove itself, but is fully lived in love. I am here, always here, ready to lead you into true life where you no longer strive, but find rest and grow each day in me. Beloved, when you feel empty, I do not look upon you with reproach, but with the gentle gaze of one who sees the hidden potential within that very emptiness. What you perceive as lack, I see as a vessel waiting to be filled. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Matthew 5:3. When you recognize that you are not enough, you are standing at the very place where my fullness can flow most freely. When you are weak, I do not ask you to become strong first. I simply ask you to open your hands. For my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. I did not come merely to adjust the outward circumstances of your life. I came to transform your heart, the place where every decision is formed, where every relationship is nurtured, where faith becomes a living rhythm. I do not desire that you merely avoid what is wrong, but that you step fully into what is good, a life no longer torn between control and doubt, but released to walk in the light. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. John 8:32. That freedom is not the license to follow your own will, but the grace to live according to the nature I have placed within you. Therefore, beloved child, choose me not only in a single moment, but in each day, not out of fear of anything, but because you have come to recognize that this is the most beautiful path. It is a choice, repeated daily, through small steps and simple decisions. And if at times you hesitate, I am still here. If you fall silent, I am still whispering. If you lose your way, I am still watching over you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. My invitation is not withdrawn because of your stumbles. Look back, and you will see that in all I have done within you, there has always been the mark of unchanging love. When you fell, I did not depart. When you doubted, I did not close my heart. When you wandered, I did not extinguish the light within you. I have held it, protected it, nurtured it, waiting for the day you would return and allow it to burn more brightly than before. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. Isaiah 42:3. You have never been something I would abandon. I know what you truly long for, not fleeting comfort, but a life of depth, of meaning, of a genuine awareness of the sacred, a place where your soul finds rest, no longer striving, a place where you live with purpose, not under pressure, a place where you love others, not from depletion, but from a source that never runs dry. And child, that is precisely where I am leading you. Now I ask you only one thing, not with a stern voice, but with a gentle whisper. Are you willing to keep walking? Even when you cannot yet see the whole path, willing to love more deeply? Even after you have been hurt, willing to trust more fully? Even while questions remain unanswered? He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1-6. What I have begun in you, I will not leave unfinished. Beloved, what you are sensing, the subtle stirrings within, the quiet shifts in your relationships, the dreams that seem to carry a deeper meaning are not confusion as you once thought. They are guidance. Nothing in your life is accidental when you place yourself in my hands. What you once called coincidence, I am now opening your eyes to see as part of a complete and intentional flow I have woven beforehand. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, Psalm 37:23. And in every step of obedience you choose. I am not only preserving you, I am also illuminating your way. I have not called you merely to do something and then return unchanged. I have called you to become the person I intended from the very beginning. You no longer need to shrink yourself to fit into old patterns. The true version of you, refined, tested, having passed through fire, purified through tears, is rising, and I rejoice to see it. You are the light of the world, Matthew 5:14. That light is not something you created, it is something I placed within you. And now it is being revealed. I do not change your past, but I give you an anointed future, a future where even your scars become testimonies of grace. The light within you is no longer hidden. It is spreading, reaching places you never imagined. It is not loud, yet it cannot be ignored. It stirs the dark places, not to destroy, but to reveal truth and bring life. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Beloved, the light I have placed within you has never gone out. You may have once thought yourself small, quiet, unnoticed, but that light has always burned, even in silence. And now, it is beginning to rise. You are sensing it through the stirrings in your heart, the unspoken urges, the flashes of clarity in your thoughts. This is not confusion, it is life in motion. Be dressed ready for service and keep your lamps burning. Luke 12:35. For the time for that light to be revealed has come. Wherever you go, you do not merely arrive in body, but with a soul that has been illuminated. Others may not know how to name what they feel, but they will recognize that something is different about you. A peaceful gaze in the midst of chaos, a voice that brings ease, a presence that softens the atmosphere. This is not the result of your striving, it is the light within you at work. Out of your heart will flow rivers of living water. John 7:38. It does not need to be displayed, it simply flows. And child, you are no longer the person the darkness once knew. What once defined you, fear, doubt, weakness, no longer holds authority. You have stepped out of your former image, not because you achieved something great by the standards of the world, but because you have been transformed from within. You have risen not from the heights of success, but from the ashes of what was once broken. And from that very place, my light shines even more clearly. Arise, shine, for your light has come. Isaiah 60:1. I am calling you to rise not as one who has merely survived hardship, but as a living witness. You do not need to be perfect, without flaw. You only need to be real, for truth itself carries power. Your transformed life will speak louder than any sermon. You do not need to try to become the light, you already carry it. So, beloved, walk forward with a renewed courage. Do not shrink back. Do not doubt what I am doing within you. That light is not meant to be hidden. It is placed within you to shine. And as you walk in that truth, you will see that not only are you illuminated, but through you, many others will find their way. I am with you, and the light within you is the undeniable mark that I am alive and at work in you. Beloved, from the moment I breathed life into you, I never intended for you to become a faint echo among the crowd. I placed within you a distinct voice, not merely to make sound, but to carry the depth of your soul, even when you have thought that voice small, fragile, lost among the noise. I have always heard it clearly, not as one distant, but as a Father very near. The Lord is near to all who call on him in truth. Psalm 145:18. Every time you speak, whether in words or in the quiet of your thoughts, it reaches me. Do not underestimate those silent moments when you turn your heart toward me. It is in that stillness that eternity is touched. When you express what is within you, not to be understood by others, but to maintain your connection with me, you are stepping into obedience without even realizing it. For obedience does not begin with grand